So Nick, talent acquisition. I mean, it's been an incredible period in the last few years for the space. How would you sort of sum up this year?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a tale of two halves. If we think about last year, when we were doing kind of reporting, about 40% of our work was in talent acquisition, which was unheard of as an HR recruitment business. And so much of that kind of froth was built up on organisations dramatically driving hiring post-COVID. And it almost felt endless. And we saw, wage growth, hiring of TA professionals, to levels we've never seen before. It's fair to say it's been a really tough year for TA professionals. And I think some of that has been right-sizing. Some of that have been organisations panicking a little bit and saying, look, we need to reduce cost quickly. And that's been borne out for a lot of the bigger organisations, actually, that had invested considerable amounts in significant TA functions. I think what we're seeing going into next year is, organisations figuring out what do they want in terms of fixed cost, i.e. the TA function in the building. How do they want to partner in a more of a hybrid model with MSPs and RPOs? What do they want to use external partners for? And realising that there isn't a 100% rule for anything, and it's probably a blended approach. So no doubt we are seeing kind of more of a TA partner increase again, coming back into the market. Yep. What's going to be interesting is the senior TA market that probably got hurt the most at the start of this year. So I think the message we can see going into next year is we're going to see a slow rebuild up of talent acquisition. Certainly not anywhere near what we saw last year, but probably back to what we would class as more of a normal world.
Yeah, I think certain size businesses are trying to get more out of their TA professionals by leaning them more into areas like development, sort of brand attraction, and again trying to sort of broaden out the commercial impact. We've discussed on many of the roundtable groups that actually getting the onboarding and the messaging sort of wrong at the very start can have huge amount of impact to that sort of individual's journey and longevity in a business. And in a very competitive world that we're still in, I think that's been the focus around TA from what I've seen, as opposed to hiring lots of individuals. It's about getting the best out of the hires that I think the last 2 years has essentially presented.
I think you're right. That overlap of getting TA more involved in EVP and branding and candidate experience is all really, really key. And I think we've got to look at that talent acquisition function, within the HR space and see how can we build it to be more resilient. Yep. We are going to have economic ups and downs. No business wants to be in a scenario that invests, scales up a function, and then when the market dips, has to reduce again. So I think we're going to see more double hatting, more broader roles within TA, but also I think organisations need to be more realistic about what they want from a function, and they can't always monitor a successful TA function of how much money does it save, and more the metrics need to be driven around value creation and how do they make the organisation stronger and more robust. So I think next year is going to be really interesting for TA, and it will improve.
Yeah, absolutely.